So when I watch videos about the habits of highly successful people, and they talk about how they get up at 5 a.m, they then drink a kale smoothie before having a freezing cold shower, and then fasting for days, I think, well, that sounds like an absolutely terrible idea and nothing I would ever want to do. And I then proceed to get up at 7 a.m, have my bowl of fruit, and live my normal life, eating. I got a good friend who was training for a marathon, and he would always say the first step out the door is the hardest. And I think that's what makes, going for a cold shower first thing in the morning so difficult. As the iconically British saying goes, it's all right once you're in, but I just don't want to get in, full stop. Building good habits requires what I like to call activation energy. It takes this willpower to even get going. And I think with everything that's been going on with COVID, with starting a new job where I'm working really, really hard, and with all my YouTube stuff, I just don't feel like I have the time or energy to build any more new habits. And there may be some little habit that would add 10 seconds to my life, but who cares, and what's the point, frankly, if I'm miserable all the time? But I think at least most normal, non-high performance athletes, I'm the CEO of some massive company with a bajillion things to do all day type people, having, a kale smoothie on a morning or an ice bath sauna ritual isn't going to make that big a difference to our lives. What is actually going to make a difference is building in these small habits, and there are tons of them I can think of that I'm not currently doing, which actually require almost no effort and will have a pretty big impact on how we feel. But often these good habits, stuff like going on a date with your girlfriend every 2 weeks, are things that we want to do, but we just forget to do them in the busyness of life. Between work and having my phone in my hand all the time to check my emails, and looking for places to rent in London with my girlfriend because I'm 25 and still living at home, which does categorically make me an absolutely ginormous loser, and watching Netflix and posing for a cute little Instagram story. Between all of this stuff, I forget to do small things that aren't just, good for me, but that actually make me happier. So in this video, I'm going to talk about my attitude towards habits and really how I've changed from focusing on, fad, popular habits that I'm supposed to be building, that I see other people on Instagram doing, towards, focusing on habits that really matter to me. I'll then take you through some ideas of the kinds of small, effortless habits you might like to try, and I'll walk you through the Done app, which I use to track my own habits, and I'll finish off with a vital reminder for anyone who likes watching these kinds of habit or routine videos, and from someone who has just made a morning routine video, that will make you feel a whole lot better about yourself. Typically, people tend to think of habits as either good habits or bad habits. Good habit, running. Bad habit, smoking, or eating my body weight in sweets. But I think this is overly simplistic, because I think if you kind of think of it like this, the ideal becomes to, only ever have good habits and not have any bad habits. And then your life would be, quite simply, one neat, tidy, kale-filled misery. Instead of being so binary, I like to think of habits just as things we do regularly without thinking about it. I found if I force myself into doing what other people call good habits, then I actually end up just putting more pressure on myself and making myself feel worse. But when building habits, I think it's really important that we reflect on what we actually want to change about ourselves, rather than just internalizing what other people are trying to change. For me, for example, I think that I often take criticism way too personally. And, I've been focusing on building a habit of every time I feel myself doing that, snapping myself out of it. I'm not doing something that someone else has told me to do. I'm focusing on a problem I have and fixing it. Apply the 80-20 rule, and this is the idea that you get 80% of the benefit from 20% of the effort. We're looking for low-hanging fruit, those little things that you can do, or the small kind of bad habits that you can easily overcome that will make you feel significantly happier. I thought it would be helpful to just run through a few examples of how I've been applying these ideas to my own life so you can get a sense of what kinds of small, effortless habits you might build into your own. There are really 4 main types. First up is to build habits in areas you really care about. And in Stephen Covey's book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, his second habit is basically to think of the difference between what you're actually doing and what you want to be able to say you're doing. And he comes up with this idea of imagining you're going to a funeral, which is in fact your own funeral, and imagining what you would want people to be saying about you. So I'd like to think, for example, that Beth, my girlfriend, would say that I was a really great boyfriend. And so as I've begun working, and I'm working quite long hours at the moment, I've thought about maybe building a habit, for example, of going on a date every 2 weeks at least with her and making sure we kind of designate that time as special time, just the 2 of us. Or for example, I've now created a habit where once every 2 or 3 months, I will write out a long email about kind of just a general life update, basically to send out to my grandparents. You know, it's something that makes me feel good when they receive it and send me a message back saying, oh, it was so lovely to hear from you. And it's nice for them to hear from me and know that I care. A couple of other ideas are, smiling to everyone you say hi to on the way into the office building, or asking your flatmate how their week is going and actually listening to their answer, or, cooking dinner for your boyfriend once every month. Second, we have what I like to think of as effortless productivity habits. And here I'm really talking about, what you're doing on the run you go on or on your way to work. Are you listening to music or scrolling through Instagram? Or are you, building some real value into your life by reading an article about something you really care about? For me, startups, for example, or listening to a podcast or an audiobook. It doesn't require any effort. It's just upgrading what is essentially dead time to productive time. And you don't have to do it every single day, but just occasionally, maybe a couple of times a week, swap your dance playlist for an educational podcast or your Insta scrolling for some code learning. Third, we have self-care habits. And these are the kinds of things that you really would like to do, but you've never fully committed to. So for example, for me, it's going for my morning walk, which I've now built in as part of my morning routine, and watch my morning routine video if you haven't already. Or, building stretching in as a regular habit that I now do, and the Done app has really helped me to do that. You might like to have a monthly manicure or a weekly bath or a daily meditation session, but whatever it is, make sure it's something that you really love doing rather than something you're doing just because it's the latest fad kicking off on the gram. Fourth and finally, and this is a big one, target your own bad mental habits. It's really a question of becoming conscious of these bad mental habits that you have and then doing something to stop them. So for example, for me, I had a really bad habit of getting very, very wound up by tiny little things that just don't really matter. I get stuck in traffic and get really crazy and mad about that for no real reason. And I managed to build a habit of becoming much more conscious of when that was happening to me and of asking myself, why am I getting so angry? Does this matter? And is there anything I can do about it? And generally the answer was no. But that was the kind of habit that I built in response to a bad mental habit of mine. Another example might be that you see your friend's Instagram story and loads of your friends are together and you've not been invited. And, you can then recognize that that makes you feel rubbish, and that's okay. And it's, normal to feel like that. But building a habit of not letting that kind of ruin the whole of the rest of your day and kind of just picking yourself back up. So I think it's a good idea to sit down and just think about the kinds of habits that you might like to build using some of the ideas we've just been through. And then just to keep a list, I have one on my phone and my Mac that I update regularly with ideas of the sorts of habits I might like to try at some point. And then I use an app called Done to track these habits. So I'll add maybe 1 or 2 habits every couple of weeks. And once I've got sort of 10 or so, I'll then just update them as I think of new things that I might like to try out or things that are no longer really relevant to me, and I'll drop those off. The reason I love Done is that it's completely free to start using. You can have up to 3 habits and all of the features included in their free plan. And it's a crazily simple way to get all of the stuff you want to focus on habit-wise into one place. As I said, the biggest problem for most of us as far as developing these powerful but effortless little habits is just forgetting about them. So Done allows you to set how many times a day, week, month, or year you want to do something, to categorize it, to set a reminder so you never forget about it, and then to track whether you're actually doing it. In the last couple of months using it, I've loved making it one of my most used apps. It looks and feels great to use, gives you a summary stats on how you're getting on, and overall just has given me one single place to keep all of the habits I'm focused on. So yeah, download Done for free through the link at the top of the description, and then you can upgrade to the premium version when you're ready to make it your dedicated place for keeping track of all your little powerful habits. Be happy with accepting that you probably might not do some of these habits for a little bit. You might have things that get in the way, or you might just forget to do them. And that's completely natural. You know, last week I didn't do my morning routine at all. And yeah, okay, work was crazily busy and I just physically couldn't do it. But that doesn't mean I'm just gonna give up on it and not try ever again and feel like a failure and say, well, there's no point in me even trying now. I'll try this week to do it as much as I can. I worry that you guys will watch my morning routine videos or day in the life videos with me and think that every single morning or day of my life is like that. Yes, those are reflections of what one day looked like, but that doesn't mean that I kind of always do my morning routine perfectly. The world isn't perfect and stuff comes up and it gets in the way of that happening. So, you know, that's what I'm working towards my morning routine looking like and what days should look like for me, but that isn't always the case. But if you'd like to see what my morning routine does look like on a good day, then go check out my morning routine video. And remember, you can download Done through the link in the description. Thanks for watching, and I will speak again very soon. Bye.